Hi, and today we are with Mr. Hemantha Punchihewa, who is a registered migration consultant specializing in Australian visas and migration procedures. And of course, he's been practicing for over a decade and has been processing thousands of visas. So we have many questions, but let's start off with Australia seems to be a very a preferred destination for people to travel to. Why is it that they choose Australia to migrate to?
Well, a lot of people travel to Australia to see the country because it's a continent, so a lot of places to visit, or maybe they want to take the advantage of world-class education system, so to do further studies, or maybe they want to settle down, permanently settle down in Australia, which one of the best sorted countries and which has a very robust and very transparent migration program. So under that, thousands of people come to settle in Australia. So if you look at the migration program in Australia, which creates around to cater for their economic needs, Australia has a lot of skill shortage. To fulfill that, they attract migrants from the other countries, which who has certain skill sets can migrate. The benefits to migrants are because of the strong economy, you finding employment you might be very easy, or it could be the social benefits that you get, your studies, your medical benefits, or whatever, and the stability of the country. It's a very stable country, which allows you to settle down very well. Plus, it's a multicultural society, which that multiculturalism has promoted very well, and people live in harmony. Hundreds of different nationalities live in Australia, and they are living in harmony. I mean, it's a country isolated from the rest of the world, but that itself has created a very nice environment for people. Australia has a lot of cities that are most livable cities in the world. I mean, just imagine you living in one of the most livable cities in the world. That itself is a very good thing that why people looking to go and settle down in Australia. Plus the family situation. I mean, you are looked after very well as a family, young families, and then the government also put in a lot of efforts to create that environment for the not only the migrants, every Australian resident or a citizen. I think these things has created a very good environment for people to look into Australia as their first destination to either to travel or permanent living or studies or whatever the requirements you may have.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned young families also, and the aspiration of many young families is to go somewhere and start anew and start afresh. And it's that much easier when you have the help from the government and you have a good support system. But let's talk a little bit about that support system that Australia as a destination provides, especially those who are going and seeking permanent residency there as a family, not as an individual, but as a family.
Yeah, as a family, I think a lot of people looking into settle in Australia because, as I mentioned, the stable and the calm and the very settled environment. I mean, if you look at Australia, it's one of the criminal activities in Australia is very low compared to the other parts of the world. So which gives you that environment automatically to settle down because you are always protective of your family, and then you look after those aspects. And then the other thing is, if you look at the work and family balance, every workplace, I must say, promote that balance. I mean, always look after your family and then balance your work life, which the government also put in a lot of effort to give that sanity for the family. Especially when you have young family, children's education, their health, and their well-being. The whole package is there from the government as well as your employers to make sure that environment is created to raise kids, and then a lot of support given to the parents. I mean, for example, you can work part-time, probably once a week or a few hours a day, which suits your environment if you have young family, young kids who are going to school or to a creche, and then look after their well-being. This is actually there's a good question that you raised. This is one of the fundamental things in Australian society, which allows you to get the best benefit and raising your family.
It's quite different from the rat race that we're used to here. It's a different pace entirely.
It's a different pace, and then everybody puts together to create that environment. I think that is the wonderful thing about that society.
Okay, so in terms of the Australian visa itself, who is eligible or who can apply for an Australian visa?
Well, that is a very broad question, because who is eligible? Probably anybody is eligible to for Australian visa. When you say Australian visas, it could be temporary visa, it could be permanent visa. When I say temporary visa, if you want to visit the country and be a tourist and enjoy the environment, anybody is eligible as long as you fulfill the criteria to go and visit the country. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to study, take advantage of that world-class education, you can go as a student. These are temporary visas we are talking about. I mean, one can even find an employment and go and work there and come back. So those temporary visas are available, as long as you are eligible, you can go there and fulfill those dreams and come back. But then there's another set of visas which allow you to live permanently, which Australia is one of the few countries that has that sort of programs, migration program. So under that, there are different visa types, if you like, which means most popular program, or the most of the people come under the general skill migration program. General skill migration program means if you are a qualified professional, you can qualify under this program and then migrate. There are thousands of visas available every year. There are quotas for each and every occupation, so you can come under, if your occupation is in demand, you can come under this program. Then if you are a business person, if you are a skillful business person, there are business skills visa, which means you can migrate as a business person. Then, to mention few others, if you are married to a permanent resident or citizen of Australia, then you can seek visas under partner visa. Or a parent, if majority of your children are permanent residents in Australia, you can go as a age parent or parent and go and live there. So there are multiple options available. Depending on which stream that you qualify, you may go and live there permanently, or you may go as a temporary visa holder and do whatever that and come back. Yeah.
You mentioned skilled migrants, and a substantial amount of visas are granted for skilled migrants. So let's talk a little bit about that and what the requirements are if you're going in as a skilled migrant.
Okay. The skill migration program, as I mentioned earlier, created around their skill needs in the country to develop their economy and for the skilled migrants to contribute to the economy. So there are certain skills that's in demand. There is a list called SOIL, Skill Occupation List, or there's another list called CSOIL, Consolidated Skill Occupation List. So your occupation must be in this list, and it must be in demand for one to migrate to Australia, at least to qualify to migrate. And there are certain other requirements that you have to fulfill to qualify under this program. For example, you must be, there are basic criteria, which is your age. You must be between 18 and 50. And then you must have good knowledge of English, which is measured through the IELTS exam. So minimum requirement is General Test 6. And then your qualification and your experience, and it could be you could earn that's the basic criteria that you must satisfy. But then again, you have to satisfy the points test. There's a points test that you have to do. Points are given for certain attributes such as your age, your qualification, your experience, English knowledge. If your partner is qualified, you may attract some points, or if you have studied in Australia. So such as there are certain attributes that you can claim points. The current pass mark for general skill migration is 60 points. So if you get 60 points for these attributes, then you have satisfied the points test. So you must satisfy the basic criteria and the point test to qualify for this program. In this program, there's another unique thing that you may be eligible for sponsorship from a state government, which means when there is a shortage of skills, certain skills, and that particular state or territory government area, they may sponsor you to come under that program. So if you get sponsorship, you may attract some points, you do attract some points for that sponsorship, and then you are eligible to go and live in that particular state for under this program. So that's how you are eligible. You qualify for this program, as well as how you get the process done.
The Australian visa application process seems quite lengthy and also somewhat technical and requires a lot of assistance, obviously, which is where I'm assuming the Australian Migration Centre comes in and is able to help. So let's talk about how the Australian Migration Centre can assist in applying for visas.
Yes, you're correct. This can be very cumbersome and very complex process. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, obviously everything's like that. So obviously under Australian Migration, I'm a migration consultant, which has been, I have been registered for over a decade. So I have very years of experience, which I do, especially with the skill migration. So my expertise is, if you are qualified to go through this process, to make sure that your documentation, your process, everything is done according to the legislation, and then make sure that you get the visa. So here, what we do is to make sure that we do the pre-eligibility assessment, and if you are eligible, we can take up the case and then make sure that we work with you to get your visa. I think if you are seeking advice for migration, you must look for somebody who is registered with Australian Migration Authority, Australian Registration Migration Authority, and then they should be able to assist you, which one of somebody like me who can assist you with your process.
Well, thank you very much, and we hope that you assist many more people in getting their visas across and starting in a new place.